Yeah, it's a lot going on in New York right now. I'm not sure exactly what she ends up talking about here. I only watched like a little bit of the beginning, but if I have any idea what she's gonna talk about, it's probably gonna be congestion pricing and like the homeless people on the trains and just a lot of this bullshit going on right now. But without any further ado, we gonna jump into this.
It's been a few weeks since I made my last video, and in that period of time, Luigi Mangione was arrested and charged with killing the United Healthcare CEO. Crime in the New York City subways became a national.
This was a crazy ass thing that happened too, bro. Like this was like a GTA style heist pulled off in the middle of like a heavily populated area in Manhattan too. Like shit like this does not happen. Um, Opinion on newly Angela Ball? Fire. I might swerve in that corner. Whoa, whoa. NYC has a lot of migrant issues. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing too. But shit, we gonna see. All right, so Luigi. Oh, yep. Crime on the subway. More police isn't there. All right, yeah. We're gonna see what she's talking about though.
National topic of discussion yet again after a woman was set on fire in the subway. The public learned that New York State corrections
Set
officers
on fire too. It's like, yo, bro, like I can't imagine because you have to understand, like we take these trains every day. It's hard to imagine some shit like this happening, and it's really not that far away from you, bro. Like I really have to think about that shit every time I leave the fucking house. That a woman was just set on fire for nothing, bro. Set aflame. And then I think the dude's excuse was like he doesn't know what happens when he's drunk. Send that nigga to fucking jail immediately. Ship him off. I don't know where he's from. I don't even. I'm not even gonna say he needs to go back to where he's from. He needs to go to jail, and the key needs to be fucking flushed immediately. I didn't know billionaires in NYC just walked around with no security in Manhattan. What the fuck? I'm not saying that they do, but I ain't gonna lie. Everyone in New York just walks around, bro. It's fucking New York. No one cares that you're famous. No one cares that you have money, nigga. We got our own lives to worry about. We gotta worry about dodging, not getting fucking burned in the subway. I'll be damned if niggas really care about famous people like that or rich people. So I don't blame them for not walking around with security. Bro, that was so sad. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, it's terrible. Pretty sure there's some underlying mental health problems with him. You think? Think he has schizophrenia or something. I don't know. Either way, toss him away, bro. I ain't gonna lie. It's one thing to commit a crime, but to set somebody on fire, nigga, like, it takes work to set somebody on fire. You stab a nigga, whatever. You, crime done. You shoot a nigga, crime done. You know how much hate you have to have, or just how fucked up you gotta be to set somebody on fire, bro? Like, you killed somebody in an elaborate way. That shit takes effort. Not to glorify what he did, but like, holy shit.
beat Robert Brooks to death, and the public didn't learn that Rikers corrections officers allowed Charisma Jones to die because they refused to get her medical attention. Crime policing and criminal justice is my wheelhouse, particularly in New York City, so many people have been asking me what I think about everything that's happening, so I have a whole lot to talk about today. So about a month ago, someone shot the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, at 6 a.m. on the streets of Midtown. Since then, a 26-year-old white man named Luigi Mangione has been accused of and charged with the murder, and I do think it's important to emphasize that he's been charged, not convicted. He has not had a trial or any evidence presented against him in court yet, so we should presume his innocence. Anyway, this case has gotten wall-to-wall coverage because many, if not the majority of people, approve of the murder because of the callous, predatory, remorseless nature of the health insurance companies in this country.
I might 1x this. I ain't gonna lie. My reactions to shit be like a little too long, so yeah, I might 1.5 it, see what happens. Horrible way to die for real. Actually, bro, it's actually scary to think about it, getting shot out of nowhere. Yeah, but like, yo, that's the reality for a lot of people. But this Luigi shit was weird. Like, I remember when it first happened, seeing the security, and then there was like the dude in the hoodie. That shit looks nothing like the nigga that they ended up arresting. That's so much sus shit going on right now, bro. You really can't trust shit.
That prefer to let swaths of people suffer and die so that they can make exorbitant amounts of money off of our backs. So you will not hear me lecturing people who don't wish to lend their sympathies to the CEO of a health insurance company that they perceive as responsible for the loss of far more lives than his own. As far as the overall celebration of Luigi Mangione, though, I have many different thoughts. There's been much made of this killing, with many people arguing that this proves that there's class solidarity because both sides of the political spectrum are united in their hatred of the health insurance industry and their support for Luigi. I disagree with that idea. I first want to acknowledge that while I do think Luigi Mangione's race and perceived attractiveness by the masses who are lusting over him obviously plays into why he's received the amount of support and media coverage he has, I don't think they're the primary reasons for it. In fact, I know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Even before they revealed who the killer was, they were already saying like, yeah, whoever did this needs to be like fucking rewarded and shit. They were already glorifying everything that, like, they already glorified that the fact that the nigga killed somebody. Sped up the video, bro's brain has to be fried. I could slow it down if you want. I don't really care. I just feel like, bro, I'm not gonna lie. If you go to my second channel, most of my reactions are an hour long. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's just something I've been thinking about. But I could slow it down. I don't have a. I actually prefer watching videos like this. I'm doing it more so for content. They look similar, but just not enough to where, like, yeah, his eyebrows look way more thin in the security footage. In my opinion, that didn't look like him in the security footage. Luigi was on the mushrooms. I don't know what he was on. It's fine. Yeah, I bet. Fucking, yeah.
No, it's not, because it would be dishonest not to acknowledge that even before his identity was revealed, many people supported the killer before they
That's how true it is.
knew the killer's alleged identity. Although they did know that the killer appeared to be white, even though NYPD did attempt to mislead the public into thinking the killer may have been a light-skinned black man. And the reason they did that is because they know the race and identity of the killer would alter public perception and the amount of support for the killer. Which is why, as for the notion that the mass support he's receiving represents true...
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I feel like if a black dude killed him, I don't know what the fuck people would think, actually. I was gonna say that I know they wouldn't call him a hero. I don't feel like as many people would call him a hero. See, I feel like what made this situation so different is we kind of had an idea of the intention behind why he killed this dude. You know, he had like a manifesto and everything, so I don't know. We'll see what she's saying though.
Solidarity on this issue between all sides of the political spectrum. I think that's an illusion. Despite the apparent consensus of support for the reasons Luigi is assumed to have killed the United Healthcare CEO, if Luigi Mangione was Jerome Jackson, not only would many of the people supporting Luigi, especially those on the right, be actively against him and calling for a state-sanctioned execution, as well as he would have likely been executed instead of arrested. But probably most importantly is the fact that it would be unlikely that the public would even have been made aware of the reasons that motivated him to kill the CEO on this.
I don't know about this, man. I don't know. I'm indifferent about this point. I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm not saying she's right either. I don't know. I'm not a huge political person, so I don't know. I really don't know.
Luigi's alleged motivations have been reported. The case would have never been reported to us in the way that it has. It wouldn't have received the media coverage it has. I don't say this just because of my general faith in the fact that America does not respond to black people doing anything the way it responds to white people doing it. I say this.
This I agree with 100%. Sad but true. Yeah.
Because it's a historical fact. Despite how many people are moved by what Luigi did, specifically because they perceive him as actually doing something, doing the thing, when others haven't, the truth is that there are black and brown political prisoners all over this country, most of whom were hit with terrorism charges and sentenced to life, and many in the grave that you've never heard of because the media would not dream of giving them, and why they did what they did, the opportunity to reach the hearts and the minds of the masses on this level. For as much commentary and outrage there's been about Luigi being charged with terrorism, while people who've committed arguably more heinous crimes weren't, because the system values the life of a CEO over everyday people. Which is true. The part about the system valuing the lives of the rich, white, or powerful over ours. It wouldn't be true, though, that Luigi is receiving the brunt of the system's abuses or unprecedented abuse. Neither in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, where Jamel Floyd was killed by corrections officers, or the court. Terrorism charges are weaponized against black people who do far less than Luigi did every day all across the country, but particularly in New York City, where Black Lives Matter protesters who vandalize property get charged with terrorism.
Yeah, that did happen, right? And not to justify it, I ain't gonna lie, I feel like if you commit a crime, you know, it is what it is. You should probably get punished for it. Like, you feel me? It's what keeps people out of my fucking house at the end of the day. But it was fucked up that people decided to loot stores during the BLM protests and shit, but I don't know. There needs to definitely be a degree of fairness in how everyone is treated when it comes to committing crimes, bro. There does. I feel like the reasons people commit crimes, I'm not gonna say it shouldn't matter, but in the court of law, low-key, I do feel like it shouldn't particularly matter, man. I can't lie. Those 2020 BLM protests were wild, man. Let me tell you, bro. Walking through Soho after those protests happened, it was like a fucking ghost town. No one was outside. There was broken glass everywhere, graffiti everywhere, holes in the wall. Like, it's crazy to actually really see the results of a lot of these protests and like a lot of the shit that really goes on here.
Specifically come to mind are two Ivy League lawyers, Colin Ford Mattis and Aruj Rahman, who threw a Molotov cocktail at a police car during a 2020 Black Lives Matter protest, and they were charged with a series of felonies. The prosecutors sought a terrorism enhancement, and they were eventually convicted, disbarred, and sent to prison. But why am I pointing all of this out? I'm not trying to make an arbitrary point about how the system and the public is harder on Black people. Nor am I arguing that because it is, Luigi shouldn't be receiving the amount of support he's receiving or anything like that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't applaud or support Luigi or whatever you want to do. Nor am I trying to minimize the significance of what he is about to experience in the criminal system. I'm addressing the specific idea that the support for Luigi represents true class solidarity. Because if class solidarity cannot exist where race is concerned, if people would not be willing to prioritize their desire to put an end to the medical care and the health insurance industry in this country as it is, if Luigi were Jerome, that class solidarity is not real. Or at least it's not strong enough to serve as a long-term foundation.
Yeah, she's right. She's right. Essentially, whatever was, like, if you are going to give somebody the benefit of the doubt for killing somebody because of whatever intention that they had behind doing that, like, pretty much she's just saying, like, she wants consistency, man. She wants consistency. Like, a lot of the same people that would, you know, give... Oh, my God. I'm drawing a wicked-ass blank. A lot of the people that would, like, glorify Luigi would not glorify Luigi if he looked a different way or came from a different background, bro. He's a rich Italian dude. Like, it was crazy, bro. Like, I remember seeing posts, like, people were like, Luigi's Italian. You know why why it was so hard for the police to find him? Because he's Italian and his family did not snitch. Like, on some mafia shit. I'm like, bro, what the fuck are y'all niggas talking about, bro? What the fuck are y'all niggas talking about? Bro, COVID was the only time Times Square was empty. Facts. I wish I went during that time. That would have been pretty cool. If you look in Japan, people are afraid of the law because it's 99.9% conviction rate. There is also other countries that do this and they have low crime rate. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't too long ago either that, like, the police systems were, like, working with a lot of the fucking gangs in these communities, bro. Like, the reason why the Italian mafia had so much pull is because they had connections to people in the police force. Higher ups, all types of shit, bro. Like, police were in on it, everything, bro. They had communities where, like, everything, like, everyone was pretty much involved in crime. It kind of depresses me how much people romanticize the killing. Y'all barely even tried to address this healthcare shit legally. Yeah, and I get the sentiment of, like, oh, if you don't do something extreme, no one's gonna care, and I do honestly low-key agree with that, but I ain't gonna lie, bro. If you kill somebody, it is what it, like, that's the decision that you made, bro. You gotta pay. You gotta pay, bro. You can't just go around fucking killing people. If he was Jewish, he probably would have been exonerated because of the Jewish NYC influence. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Either way, I feel like people wouldn't look at it the same way they would if it was a different kind of race, for sure, but I don't know if I should go that far, but who knows. Just because this guy is objectively attractive doesn't mean you get away scot-free. Pretty privilege at its finest. Yeah, pretty privilege is real. I don't feel like that's going to save him per se, because once again, people glorified him for this killing even before they knew how this nigga looked. But it's definitely fucked up. We need Biden to pardon Luigi. Whew, good luck with that, man.
Will fall apart. And if the reported rumors are to be believed about Luigi's hatred of the health insurance companies stemming from experiencing back pain, there is something inherently unsettling and unrelatable to me about a privileged young white man seemingly experiencing for the first time a fraction of the kind of injustice Black people are forced to live with and endure again and again, especially by the medical industry, and feeling compelled to kill someone and being praised for it when we wouldn't be. But
yeah, man, I hear that, like, even when it comes to, like, childbirth, like, Black women are just more likely to straight up during childbirth than, like, any other race. And, like, there's, like, medical racism and, like, a whole thing with that where, like, these people are intentionally sitting there killing people, bro. It's crazy. We need Biden. Oh, here we go. It's really the start of a revolution, for real. It might just be, bro. It might just be. Um, but it's really crazy. This is like the first time I really seen an instance where like someone was like glorified so much for killing somebody, bro. It's crazy. Like they really pulled out this nigga's grail closet talking about, oh man, he has such good taste. Like, holy shit. And it's like overwhelmingly praised as well. Not saying there aren't people that think he should be in jail, but like, yo, like, it's unheard of.
But I still wouldn't disagree with anyone else who thinks it's a good way for him to use his privilege. I also would hope that people can contextualize their advocacy for Luigi and not represent the treatment he's receiving for what he's accused of doing as unprecedented injustice in the system, when he is being treated significantly better than the everyday poor black.
This is also a very, very good point. Like, you, like, bro, I know I keep posing, but like, did you guys see the videos of like him getting like taken, I believe it was to the precinct, bro, and like he had his hands behind his back, and like they were like, oh, the police are handling him so rough. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, nigga, where I come from, I ain't gonna lie, niggas was in middle school getting handled way worse than this nigga got treated for fucking killing somebody in a public area. I ain't gonna, I've seen it with my own two eyes. Like, there were fights at my school that happened, and the way those police officers handled high school, middle school children was way more aggressive than a lot of this shit that nigga had to deal with. This I agree with 100%. He getting haircuts in jail when us niggas need it more. Yeah. Nah, listen, bro. I don't know. She cooking though. She cooking. Tell us a school story real quick. I'm interested. Not now. I ain't gonna lie. Oh, not now. I'll do it in a stream that's like dedicated more to shit like that.
In the system, when he is being treated significantly better than the everyday poor black and brown New Yorkers in our criminal system who stand accused of way less, who wouldn't and don't receive your public support for their freedom for so much as having a gun or even just being homeless or seeming scary on the train. As well as I don't believe that murdering a single CEO will lead to systemic change to healthcare in this country. And no, Luigi allegedly killing the United Healthcare CEO is not why Anthem, Blue Cross, Blue Shield reversed their policy that would limit reimbursements for anesthesia during surgery and medical procedures. Both New York and Connecticut governments had already stepped in to stop that policy. But it is good timing though. That being said, I don't think it's harmful if you disagree with me and or see this entire case as far more significant than I do. I think reasonable minds can disagree on this issue, and I don't truly care to yuck anybody's yum. I really don't care much about whoever murdered the United Healthcare CEO, and I generally find the ease in which young white men can be radicalized to kill people for any reason unsettling. But I care more about the reverberating consequences for poor black and brown New Yorkers who already live at the mercy of Eric Adams' police state, that he already regularly manufactures consent for expanding.
Yeah, Eric Adams is a shit fucking mayor, bro, too. That's another fucking issue.
Just by scaring people about the thoughts of guns and crime. So imagine what he's able to do when a well-to-do white man gets shot in broad daylight in Midtown. So from that vantage point, as someone who's just always having to fight back against narratives that will be exploited to increase police funding and presence in black neighborhoods, I can't say that I was thrilled about a white man traveling to New York City to shoot someone in the street, effectively handing Eric Adams, Kathy Hochul, the powers that be, an excuse to make moves that will not affect people like Luigi Mangione. And of course, Eric Adams did not surprise me.
So this is probably where she's gonna get into the part about like how more policing doesn't necessarily solve this issue and probably makes it harder on, you know, colored people. That's my prediction.
He has been everywhere using this as an opportunity to cry for CEOs, to try to drum up support for the NYPD, despite the fact that it was a McDonald's employee who allegedly found Luigi, and making Luigi do a perp walk in order to try to butter up to Donald Trump. And
that shit was so stupid too. Like, a lot of people don't understand that, like, when you really sit there, like, you know those wanted things where it's like, oh, if you essentially tell on this person or you have any tips, get $10,000. Do you know how many specific criteria needs? You know how specific the criteria has to be met in order for you to even reap any rewards from that? And even if it is perfect and, like, you know, you ratted on the dude and you told and you gave all this information, like, there's like a whole process that has to be there's a whole process that has to be done to even decide whether you're even eligible for some of that reward. That's how those fucking signs get you too. So I ain't gonna lie, whoever did this shit, Heard they actually didn't even make money for telling on the dude for real. Nor did they. I think it's because, like, if I'm not mistaken, the reason was because they didn't live in New York. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, pretty fucked. I mean, you do the crime, you gotta do the time. I ain't go straight up. He tried to ban drill music, like that would actually work. Honestly, like, I'm gonna be honest. The thing is too, and a lot of people, they're not getting the perspective of people that actually come from this shit. I don't think banning drill music will stop violence, bro. I'm not gonna hold you. Does it definitely play a part in the violence? Yeah, because now it's a bit more personal when it comes to people that are like 10 blocks away from each other and probably wouldn't be in as deep of a beef otherwise. But like, this drill music and rap gives niggas the illusion that they can get money other ways. Well, not even the illusion, because it's true, but it gives them hope. So when you take away their hope, what do you think is going to happen? They're just going to be alright with it and just be like, you know what? Now that I can't have the freedom to diss dead niggas on a track, you know what? I'm just going to sit here and do nothing, and I'm just going to stop committing crimes. No, they're going to commit more crimes. Like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. The reason why crime rate went down in New York, in my opinion, like, even like robberies, and why robberies went down, in my opinion, is because of scamming. That's how I feel. I really do feel that way. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if you take away people's resources to make it out, they're just gonna find worse, less ethical ways to make it out. Like, taking away people's freedom was never something that was gonna make them stop committing crimes. I get that the CEO wasn't a good guy either, but he literally killed someone the other day. I'm not too sure about that. Nah, I heard she called the police and not the actual tip hotline. Oh, well, yeah, that too. That could probably be a reason she didn't get the money too. Aren't like the big drill rappers in jail now? Yeah, most of them, the nice ones are in jail, which is why we're kind of on a drought right now. But you know, that's a story for another day. Drill music and sports is the only ways hood niggas can make it out the hood. I don't agree with that. I don't know if you're just saying that like as a general thing or you're being sarcastic, but that's not true. I'm trying to imagine being the kid of Brian Thompson, CEO, after your father was just shot on the street and not everyone is celebrating your father's death. Yeah, that's probably pretty fucked up. But, you know, unfortunately, there's two sides to every story. And, yeah, everyone has a fucking family, so it sucks, but it is what it is. Big bro, can I get mod? Can you get mod? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll decide that in a second.
The other CEOs he likes to cozy up to, and to try to distract order the fact that it was a McDonald's employee who allegedly found Luigi and making Luigi do a perp walk in order to try to butter up to Donald Trump and the other CEOs he likes to cozy up to, and to try to distract from the fact that he was doing his own perp walk a couple months ago when he was indicted with a litany of federal crimes. Eric Adams has always used the media and selective outrage to play up self-serving narratives about crime, as well as to distract the public from what he doesn't want them to know. I saw that firsthand when I interviewed him on The Breakfast Club. When he
that was her? Oh, shit. Yo, shout out to you. Shout out to you. Yo, shout out to this queen, bro. I respect you, OD. That was her that interviewed Eric Adams on The Breakfast Club. Had that nigga stuttering, stumbling, and all that shit. Bro, we literally fell asleep on the phone together last night. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, but come on, man. Give me time to think about it. Trump? I don't know. Trump?
Officer while refusing to acknowledge the NYPD officers murdering 19-year-old Wynn Rosario the night before the interview. For as much as Eric Adams has made a spectacle of Luigi and poured his heart out for scared CEOs everywhere, you would have no idea that the same week the United Healthcare CEO was killed, so was a 17-year-old migrant teenager, Uremi Colino, who was attacked and stabbed to death by a group of 3 men. The men reportedly approached 2 migrant boys, one of whom was Uremi, and asked them if they spoke English. When they answered no, the men attacked them and fatally stabbed Uremi. A gruesome hate crime that you would have no idea happened if you were relying on Eric Adams to mention it, or to devote the extensive resources to that case as they have the United Healthcare killer. And why is that? Because it doesn't benefit a man who spent his entire administration stoking hate towards migrants and convincing the public that they're the fair. That the truth is a migrant was killed because of the very kind of hate he fostered. And while you...
Yeah. While also, as much as you hate these migrants building a city to where they essentially come here and can thrive, to develop even more of this narrative. Crazy. That's so messed up. Man, listen, I don't even like watching shit like this, bro. Like, I tell you, like, I really hate politics, bro. I really fucking hate politics. But, like, this is kind of my city, and I was very curious about this. I was gonna watch this on my own time, but I was like, fuck it, let's try something different on stream. But, man, listen, this shit, yeah, sad, bro.
You haven't heard of the murder of Uremi. What you probably have heard about is that a woman died after being set on fire on the train by a homeless immigrant man. What's interesting is how many headlines and posts I've seen about a woman dying after being set on fire on the train by a homeless immigrant man. Yet the woman's identity is seldom revealed in.
That is very true too. Like, I didn't really hear anything about who she was or anything like that. See, and that's the thing, bro. Like, this is why I understand why she's so upset, because this Luigi dude gets the benefit of people looking deeper into why this whole thing even happened. When, like, if I'm being honest, and this is where the news kind of gets shit fucked up too, right? There's a story behind every killing, right? People don't just go out and die and get shot for no reason. Like, when I was a kid, I remember thinking to myself, like, yo, why doesn't everyone just stop shooting people? Like, I thought people literally just went around sticking people up and just shooting people just cause. But, like, yo, behind every killing, maybe not every killing, but most killings is a story, a narrative, and pretty much just a backstory. In a lot of situations like these, you don't really get that context. Not to say that there was anything that was justifying any of this shit, but, like, you really don't get a lot of that context. You really don't. That's a very interesting point that she brought up. I dislike politics as well, but it is intriguing to see this. I agree. I don't know why people blame rap music for the crime increase. I listen to DMV music and only been in 5 to 7 fights in my whole lifetime. Half of those fights, I was probably bumping T Swift and Megan Trainor. But nah, real shit though, I ain't gonna lie. Like, real shit. I grew up on a lot of rap and a lot of bullshit too. In fact, I've experienced and went to school with a lot of people that are now in the streets and deal with a bunch of shit like this, and I've turned out pretty fine. Like, I don't feel like it's, I don't know, it's a very rudimentary perspective to just limit the reason why a lot of these things happen to something like music, bro. Something as trivial as music. Not to say that music has zero effect, right? I feel like it does, but, like, come on, man. Probably from looking at each other, LOL. I don't fucking know, man.
Any of these headlines, posts, or the articles themselves. And there's a reason for that. The woman who was set on fire was also homeless. And these kinds of stories are usually sensationalized, not just because of the horrific nature of the crime or the worthiness of the story, but also to continue the vilification of homeless and migrant New Yorkers, especially those on the subway. It was important to the media and NYPD alike to identify the perpetrator of the crime as a homeless person and an immigrant, but not the victim, because they're invested in highlighting who they believe New Yorkers should fear, which they've decided are homeless people and migrants respectively, while never highlighting the dangers homeless people or migrants themselves face on the streets. And just
yeah, that's very, very true. She's fucking cooking, man. I can't even lie.
That's how little anyone cares about it. It's important that people understand that victims and perpetrators often belong to the exact same communities. Our media, the police, and the government love to frame crime as though there are these evil criminals who belong to one community and victims who belong to another, but that is not the case. And it's precisely why we can't offer these blanket condemnations, vilifications, and dehumanizations of any one group, because you're hurting the victims too. And
that's very true. Very, very true. A lot of people that die, even like shootings in the streets, like, once again, there's motivation and story behind why these things happen. So, but, like, when shit like this happens, who's watching the news on their TVs thinking, damn, bro, we gotta get these dudes off the streets, and damn, I hope this shit doesn't happen to me? The people that, in a lot of regards, the situation is, like, way less likely to happen to. But once again, there's always a narrative behind something. There's always a reason why people display things the way that they do.
All of that is significantly relevant when talking about what happened to that woman who was set on fire on the subway. Her name was Debrina Kawam.
Are you ready to take your content to the next level?
Fuck,
going live on TikTok isn't just fun. It's a game changer.
And she was 57 years old. She grew up in a middle class home in New Jersey. Her father worked for General Motors. She went to college. She worked. Then she fell into debt and the bank foreclosed her home, leaving her homeless. That's so important. One, because her life matters, but two, because people choose to perceive homeless people as a separate entity from us regular people.
Yeah. It could happen to any of us, bro. This is so true. I didn't even know all of this shit, bro. Like, no one felt the need to go into detail on her past or any of any of this shit. I didn't even know she was a homeless lady for real.
When in fact, they are us. They're what happens to us when we lose our jobs unexpectedly, when we or our loved ones get sick, when emergencies arise. Because the truth is that the average American...
Bro, some of them don't try and give life a chance and clean themselves up, but prefer to rob and trap. I mean, you're not wrong. Like I always say, life isn't necessarily about the opportunities that you're given or the people that you're around, but it's about the choices that you make. And I do agree with that point for sure. But at the end of the day, bro, you have to understand when you grew up around one thing for so long, you're really like, there is a such thing as tunnel vision. Some people lack the perspective to even perceive any other scenario of making it out. Like that's literally, like that's the best case scenario. Like be a doctor, a lawyer, or something. It ain't that easy, bro. I ain't gonna lie. A lot of niggas like, a lot of niggas don't got money, or you know, they're kind of told that they're done. Like you see how earlier I was talking about the Lil TJ situation and how a lot of people like to address or like what's the word I'm looking for, justify the dumb shit that they do by I'm just a hood nigga or like I'm a street nigga, to essentially like almost call themselves dumb, and that's the excuse as to why they were able to do something. Like a lot of these niggas genuinely really do believe that they are dumb and they are 100% behind, and there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of reasons they don't perceive that they can do anything else. Am I justifying it? No, 100%. There's a lot of shit you can do, but the power of the mind is really so important. Some people are really so narrow-minded and they lack the perspective of anything else, and so inevitably they'll fall into something. It is what it is. I can't lie. I can't even say if I ain't come from their environment, shit probably could have happened to me. Like, I really don't know. I see your point, though. I get where you're coming from. You choose to do that stuff. No one forced you to do the crime. True. Even growing up in NYC, you have opportunity. Even if you grew up in the hood. Places like Memphis and Detroit, there's almost no hope, not gonna lie. That's the point I was making last stream, too. I feel like, I ain't gonna lie, there's a lot more hope in NYC than there is there. But I'm not gonna lie, even a lot of hood niggas in NYC, bro, they find that balance. They still in the streets, but they be getting money for real. Like, there's a lot of niggas that I know in the streets, they don't fucking want to kill nobody. It's just what they're around in their environment. Like, there's always ways out of it. Like, feel me? They still abide by the code. They still in the streets. It's just, once again, it's that perspective and that perception that there's something bigger than what's directly in front of you. That's hard, bro. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the niggas that sit there and complain and be like, yeah, these niggas don't need to be doing this shit. These people can get a job. I'm not gonna lie. If you were in their scenario, you probably end up worse than them. Because you're only a product of your environment. I can't lie. You're only a product of your environment. Reminds me of Lil RT. That's a fact. Like, that's a whole nother scenario, bro. Crazy.
American lives paycheck to paycheck, and we're all just a few unfortunate events away from finding ourselves ass out. And that's especially true in one of the most expensive cities in the world. Many of us are simply fortunate. We are lucky. We have community, family, and support systems we can rely on in times of need.
Facts.
But that's all it is. What happened to Deborah happens to so many people. In fact, a few years ago, I remember something similar happening to a woman who ended up freezing to death on a bench outside.
I heard
and what's
about
seldom
that, bro.
talked about.
That's so fucked, bro. That's so fucked. And like, not to say that I can relate to being homeless because I can't, but when I was a reseller back in like 2019, 2018, 2020, 2021, there were times where like I'd have to wait outside for shoes in the cold in like Harlem, and like nigga, it was basically like we were homeless for a night. We were out in the cold, nowhere to fucking go. Like I remember, bro, we used to sleep in fucking banks next to homeless people because it was so cold, and then we'd get woken up to cops saying like, yeah, you guys gotta leave, and then boom, you're back out on the cold, don't know where the fuck you got. Like it's a terrible thing to experience, bro. It's a terrible thing to experience. So like I really understand, obviously not completely, but I have experience. I've been through experiences to where I feel like I can have sympathy for these people. What's her channel name? It is I'm not even gonna Alurinati. I don't know. If I botched it, I'm sorry, shorty. The wig go crazy though for sure. Your shit on timing, but word.
Is why so many
Dang.
homeless women
Yeah.
end up on the streets as opposed to a shelter. And that's because of the heightened amounts of violence and sexual abuse women experience in the shelters at the hands of the men there. And that is not an indictment on homeless
Never even thought about that.
people or homeless men. It's an indictment of men. What happens in the shelters is a microcosm of what happens to women in our society at large, what happens on our college campuses. What's incredible to me is that Sabrina was sleeping on the train because of the systems that left her unemployed, that took her home, that left her with nowhere safe to lay her head. And when those circumstances allowed for another person to set her on fire, while onlookers just stared and the police officer can be seen on video simply walking by and leaving her to die, the national topic of discussion doesn't become about a single systemic problem that made her death possible. We're not talking about why she was on the train, why no one helped her. We're not talking about housing, poverty, consumer protection, banks, nothing. We don't consider how our continued vilification of homeless people contribute to why no one helped her, why the police didn't help her. We're not using this to illustrate why policing is not the answer to homelessness and crime in the city or the subways, because despite having one of the biggest police departments in the country, despite putting thousands more police in the subways during Eric Adams' administration, the police were present when this happened to her and they did not lift a finger to help. We're somehow not using it to point out that Eric Adams warned the homeless, him involuntarily committing homeless people, him destroying their encampments, him taking money away from homelessness services, his constant criminalization and dehumanization of homeless people has not done shit to protect anyone. Instead, somehow, the only thing that these kinds of things are ever used to highlight is why we somehow need more policing, why we need more of the same failed approach that we already recognize obviously isn't addressing the problem or making anyone feel safer. It's always more police, not more affordable housing, not more wages, not more opportunity. One of the statements Eric Adams made about this incident was that this is why he says people should not be living on our subways. But what he fails to consider is adequately funding homeless services.
Yeah, I feel like that was just a very that was a very presumptuous thing to say. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Fuck else you gonna go? My nigga, it's cold, bro. Like, shit crazy. Sparky, won't your dreads grow long enough to the point where you will look like a Rasta? I guess. Wait, how is this systematic? Because of a lot of homelessness is a systematic issue. Yeah, pretty much. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things where, alright, you peep how she said homeless shelter? What? Well, I'm confused. I'm not even gonna address because I don't know exactly what y'all are talking about, so I'm not. You feel me?
Services or providing real affordable housing in this city, not tiny broom closets that cost thousands and thousands of dollars, real affordable housing. My problem is never with New Yorkers or anyone who wants to feel safer, who care about crime. We all do. I'm your ally in that. Even though I recognize that extreme acts of violence are still outliers in our city and that New York City is one of the safest big cities in the country, I am no less hurt and concerned and unnerved when those acts of violence occur. Where we disagree is on how to address that, because I can't understand why policing failures are never treated as such. People are never angry with the police who fail to protect them, who we give billions of dollars to. They're always manipulated into being angry with the people who advocate that we reinvest into people and communities, who point out that the rising issue of homelessness is directly related to the rising and exorbitant costs of living in the city, that perhaps it's a bad idea to take millions out of schools, healthcare, homeless services while giving all that money to NYPD. My greatest frustration is how we've all been tricked into believing police are always the answer. If crime is down, it's treated as proof police are successful and we need more police. If crime is up, then it's treated.
Yeah, I feel like what a lot of people ignore is the fact that police are people too, and you know, a lot of people are shitty people, right? You can't teach humanity and empathy and, you know, manners and a bunch of shit like that. Like, I ain't gonna lie, corrupt police is a huge thing. Like, a lot of the things that people deem as issues in this country, like, I don't feel like can potentially, or at least always can be solved with more policing, because policing is also something that people see as a large issue. like, I don't know. I don't know. Once again, I don't feel equipped enough to even talk on situations like this shit, bro. But like, I don't even have a solution for any of this shit, nigga. I'm just reacting right now. But she definitely brings a new perspective, and I definitely appreciate that. Your word to bro. Yep, real shit. Banana Crayon, what's popping, gang?
Treated as proof we need more police. It's illogical, but it's deliberate. Which is why Eric Adams, Kathy Hochul, NYPD, the media, and the other powers that be have been both manipulating and distracting the public. Because while we're being inundated with wall-to-wall coverage about Luigi, including a damn Hulu documentary, which doesn't even make any goddamn sense because he hasn't even been convicted or had a trial or a hearing. But while we're being inundated with this coverage, what you aren't hearing is that not only did Marcy Correctional Facility corrections officers beat a handcuffed black man to death, 43-year-old Robert Brooks. Not only did a 23-year-old black woman, Charisma Jones, die in Rikers because corrections officers refused to provide her with the medical attention she begged for, these things been happen. Robert Brooks was killed in 2023. Charisma died months ago. And the reason you didn't hear about any of these things is because the same Eric Adams facing felony charges himself, but making a spectacle out of Luigi, that same man put a stop to the Department of Corrections informing the public who dies in their custody. And it's not just New York City Mayor Eric Adams doing a bunch of It's also our Governor Kathy Hochul, who recently vetoed 2 laws. One that would have expanded reproductive rights and allowed people to know what hospitals in New York provide particular procedures, including abortions. And she also vetoed a law that would have allowed formerly incarcerated people to regain their right to sit on juries. Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul often work in concert to prevent transparency. The only reason we know what happened to Robert Brooks or Charisma is because their families are fighting back. Robert Brooks was beaten to death in 2023, but it's only now that the body camera footage has been released to the public that the officers have even been fired, but still no charges for a murder we can see them commit. Which is why it's incumbent on me to highlight a bill that was recently signed into law in Ohio by their governor, Mike DeWine. He signed a law that would allow the police to charge people hundreds of dollars for footage, including body camera footage. That shit is evil and deliberate, and it's meant to ensure that the public doesn't find out about the horrific crimes the police routinely commit. People always assume people like me are unwilling to recognize crime when it happens, in fear of it serving as proof we need more police. But in reality, it should be proof that over-policing has not worked, because it does not work. We have to actually address the root causes. If our government thinks homeless people are an issue, they should provide people with housing. If they're scared that there are mentally ill people on the streets and in the subways, provide people with mental health care, not temporary jail cells. Now, if you're saying to me, well, align me, that's why we love Luigi, because we got to shoot a couple of CEOs for the government to decide to give people health care or housing, then okay. That's your right. Don't shoot me with your big gun.
It's a W video, yo. It's a W video. I ain't gonna lie. She's very good at articulating herself and her points. It's definitely offered a new perspective. Shout out to her, y'all. Sub to her if y'all feel me. If y'all into politics and shit like that. Ending's weird. Listen, all my video endings are weird too. Do a NY slang / lingo video. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not doing that shit, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm sorry. Being beat to death is so scary. Jesus, man. No, yeah, it's I can't even imagine shit like that, bro. And just like the victims probably don't even imagine shit like that when they end up in it, but shit, W video. But the NYC slang, I don't know, bro. I just feel like that's just like so corny, bro. Like NYC, like there's already thousands of videos about NYC slang and all that shit. Like I don't know. I don't need to really add to that. I don't know. A lot of people tell me I don't even sound like I'm from New York, so what the fuck? Imagine me making an NYC slang video. WVid, Luigi mention was a little weird. Nah, she just brought that up to essentially bring up the fact that when a rich white man kills another, rich billionaire CEO, people want to look into why that happened, and there's a bunch of backstory given on the CEO and this and this and that, and there's a lot of like humanification and just a lot of liberties being taken that aren't offered to people of color whenever shit like that happens, to and for people of color. Like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, I can't lie. In my opinion, I feel like if a black man committed that same crime, it would just be, nigga, lock that nigga up and get that nigga the fuck up out of here. He wouldn't be given the same liberty of like, oh, he comes from this family and this is his manifesto and this and this and that. That's why she brought up the other killings and like the homeless woman on the train, because like, yo, she has there's a reason that she ended up there. Like, there's such a dehumanization when it comes to homeless people and people of color and migrants. Like, none of those situations get treated the same. The first time I heard about her backstory was on this video. When I seen all the reports about her getting killed and everything like that, they just said, oh, lady died, train, homeless lady, homeless man, or homeless migrant man. That's it. We don't know shit. But when Luigi kills a nigga, he's like, it's not the fact that he's praised, it's the fact that he even gets his story told for people to praise him. Just like a lot of people aren't given that same liberty. That's why she brought up Luigi. Damn, that makes sense. My bad. Nah, you good. I ain't shitting on you or anything. For me, I understood so I could explain it. W video though. W video. And